A phone call you should never answer. Have you ever answered a call, only to hear nothing on the other end? Just heavy breathing. Just silence. What if I told you that silence wasn't empty? What if something was listening, waiting? Tonight, we uncover the story of a phone call that should have never been answered. If you hear your phone ring at exactly 3:12 a.m., whatever you do, don't pick up. It started as just another ordinary night for Eric Walker, a 27-year-old graphic designer working late on a freelance project. The soft glow of his laptop screen was the only light in his dimly lit apartment. Outside, the city was quiet, the streets empty, as if the world had gone to sleep without him. Then his phone rang. 3:12 a.m. A strange time for a call. The screen flashed. Unknown caller. He hesitated. Maybe it was a wrong number. Maybe someone needed help. Against his better judgment, he answered. Silence. No voice, no static. Just a hollow, bottomless silence that felt wrong. Then a whisper. Hello, Eric. His stomach twisted. The voice was barely audible, like someone speaking from deep underwater. But the worst part, it was his own voice. Who is this? He asked, his pulse quickening. No answer. Just soft, slow breathing. And then, click. The call ended. Goosebumps rippled over his skin. He stared at his phone, his reflection barely visible in the dark screen. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe someone had used an AI voice generator. He shook it off and got back to work. 3:12 a.m. The phone rang again. Eric's breath caught in his throat. The same unknown caller. His thumb hovered over the screen. He shouldn't answer. He knew that. But something compelled him. He picked up. And this time, the silence wasn't empty. He heard something moving. A faint rustling, like fabric brushing against a microphone. The sound of bare feet on a hard floor. And then, a voice. Don't turn around. Eric froze. His body went rigid. Every hair on his arms stood on end. He could feel something behind him, standing there, watching, breathing. The air turned heavy, thick like molasses. He clenched his fists, forcing himself to breathe. It was just a prank. It had to be. Slowly, so slowly, he turned. Nothing. His apartment was empty, but his phone was still against his ear, and the voice on the other end whispered, You shouldn't have done that. The call cut out. Eric's heart hammered against his ribs. His breath came in sharp gasps. He checked every corner of his apartment, every closet, every shadow. Nothing. But the feeling lingered. The feeling of being watched. He barely slept that night. When morning came, he told himself it was all just a trick, a coincidence, a stupid late-night prank call that got under his skin, until it happened again. That night, 3:12 a.m. His phone rang. Eric stared at the screen, terror sinking into his bones. His stomach twisted into knots. This time he didn't answer. But the ringing didn't stop. It just kept going, and going, and going. His ears started to ring. The sound filled the room, vibrating through the walls, the floor, his skull. He covered his ears, but it didn't help. Then his phone stopped ringing, and a single new voicemail appeared. His finger trembled as he pressed play. At first, it was just static. Then, a whisper. Look outside. Eric's blood turned to ice. He didn't want to. He knew he shouldn't. But his feet moved on their own, dragging him toward the window. His apartment overlooked a small street, barely lit by flickering street lamps. At first, he saw nothing, just empty sidewalks and parked cars. Then, a figure, standing directly under the streetlight, too tall, too thin, and its head was tilted at an unnatural angle. Eric's phone buzzed. A text message. From unknown number. It was a picture of him, standing at his window. Eric staggered back from the window, heart pounding. His phone slipped from his hand, crashing onto the floor. He didn't care. He didn't want to touch it anymore. But then His phone screen lit up. 3:12 a.m. Incoming call. Unknown caller. His breath came in short, shallow gasps. He pressed his back against the wall, shaking his head. Number. No, no, no. The ringing didn't stop. His ears buzzed, his vision blurred. The air felt too thick to breathe. The call went to voicemail. His screen lit up with a new message. Trembling, Eric pressed play. And this time, the whisper was right behind him. I'm inside. The next morning, Eric's apartment was empty. His phone lay cracked on the floor. The laptop was still open, the screen frozen on his unfinished project. But Eric was gone. No signs of a struggle, no forced entry. Just gone. His phone rang one last time. 3:12 a.m. Unknown. Caller. And somewhere, in a different city, in a different apartment, another phone started ringing. Another poor soul, staring at their screen, wondering if they should answer. Will you? If you ever get a call from an unknown number at 3:12 a.m., let it ring, no matter what. And if you hear a whisper behind you, don't turn around, because some calls you can't ignore. Did this story send chills down your spine? Hit like, subscribe, and comment if you'd ever answer the call. And if you've had a creepy phone experience, share it below. We dare you. But whatever you do, keep your phone on silent tonight.